tell the Californians to stay away. There's crime, there's drugs, there's homelessness. We even have gambling. Marijuana is legal in Nevada. Prostitution is legal in nearby counties. I lived in an apartment that was literally across the street from a cemetery. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go buy a house and I'm gonna start building up some equity. Most videos about Reno and Northern Nevada that are put out there and watched are from travel bloggers or tour guides, people giving their opinions about the good and the bad about Reno and Northern Nevada, but they're actually not even people who are from here or even live here. I don't just live here, I've been here for 35 years. I came here as an 18-year-old, I went to university here, I had my kids and raised a family here, my kids went to the public school system here, and I personally lived in 9 different residences here in different parts of town. I've helped clients buy and sell and been a part of over 2,000 real estate transactions, and I have my opinions regarding the pros and cons of living here, the cost of living, the growing pains here, and all the positives and negatives of actually living here when it was much smaller and now that it is much bigger. But here's the honest truth and what my thoughts and opinions are about what living in Reno, Nevada and Northern Nevada are all about. I'm getting all sorts of comments about only the rich can afford to live here, or please talk about the negatives, and oh my God, please keep the Californians away, like I have any control over that. Or that I'm just some rich realtor trying to get people to move here, and that life and living in Northern Nevada is always easy for me. So here we go with the most unedited version of why I love it here and why I think you will too. If you're enjoying the content we're putting out there, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. We have videos coming out every week about all the amazing things about living and moving to Northern Nevada. So let's start with the perceived negatives, since unfortunately, negative sells in today's world. All cities have their growing issues, and there are parts of town that are not amazing. There's crime, there's drugs, there's homelessness. We even have gambling. Marijuana is legal in Nevada. Prostitution is legal in nearby counties. And of course, our low public test scores, our traffic, and very little public transportation. Infrastructure is trying to keep up with the community's growth. I can go on, and every city has their issues, but that's not what we're doing here on this channel. I want to talk about the positives of what Reno and Northern Nevada and the surrounding cities like Carson City, Fernley, Dayton, Minden, Garnerville, and even sometimes Lake Tahoe, and what they have to offer. So reach out to me and ask questions about your specific situation so you can make that move from somewhere else with confidence, knowing they have a resource they can go to for almost anything. So what is it really like to live here? I came here as an 18-year-old kid, and now I'm a 53-year-old empty nester. And I'll be honest with you, the first time I ever came to Reno is when I was thinking about going to the University of Nevada. I came up the summer of 1989 to visit the school. At that time, I lived in the dorms. I lived in an apartment that was literally across the street from a cemetery. My second apartment, which was much bigger, I lived off of Montello and 9th Street, which would be an area that most people would say you might not want to live. You might see me now and where I live now, what I'm accomplished now, but I've been in those areas that people always talk about as, why do you not talk about these areas? Every community has their issues and their concerns, and like I said, we've talked about many of those in some other videos. As someone who now has been here for 35 years, what I want you to understand is, when I graduated from the university, I got married that same summer, and I happened to meet the gal that I married at the college. And we literally bought a house out in the North Valley. So anymore, you always think of people talking about the North Valleys as areas that you might not want to go or that is too expensive now. But when we lived out in the North Valleys, 1, the freeway was half as big. 2, 80% of the houses that were out there weren't out there. But we literally had a house. It had no front yard, no backyard, no air conditioning. We literally couldn't afford one single upgrade for that house. That's how we got started though. And it was out in the North Valleys, and all my friends thought I was crazy. And at that same time, I could have rented a 2-bedroom apartment over in Sparks in a brand new apartment complex. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go buy a house and I'm going to start building up some equity. So that the plan was we wouldn't live out there for more than 3 to 5 years before we had kids, and then we would move back into town. And that's exactly what happened. So in those days, my house was like $106,000. We sold it for $125,000. And then I moved into what now is known as the South Meadows. But at the time I moved into the South Meadows, there literally wasn't 100 homes there. We literally came in off South Meadows Parkway. There was no traffic light yet. The freeway ended at what now everyone knows as where In-N-Out Burger is. But at the time, it was literally Scalaris, the pink Scalaris that everybody who's lived here a long time knew what it was. And the freeway ended right there before it went all the way now to the far end of Carson City. That house was $165,000, and I lived in it for 4 or 5 years and sold it for $185,000. You can see these small jumps and these small steps are how this whole process started. And that was honestly before I was even in real estate. So once we sold that second house in Double Diamond Demonte Ranch, we had at the time 1 child. We were getting ready to have our second child, and we moved into the house that we lived in for the next 15 or 16 years, which was really close to Mount Rose Highway. Now, at that time, you could drive literally all the way up to Mount Rose Highway, all the way to the ski resort, and there wasn't even any traffic lights out there yet. Galena High School was relatively brand new. Demonte Ranch High School wasn't even in Demonte Ranch yet. And so this was how that whole process started, and that's when I first got into real estate. We did a lot of things that we could to either own a couple of homes, build up our wealth. We were doing 401ks. We had entry-level jobs, and I literally had a salary I was making in the 30s. I realized most people that I know that were in their 20s are making a lot more than that. That's how that process started. And from there, this is where we got exposed to the public school system. And I know if you go searching around online and you read about our public schools in Washoe County School District, the numbers and the comments will always talk about it negatively. We've brought on teachers, we've talked about the school district, and here's what I've learned is this. So if you know the teachers, you know the principals, and you get involved, I don't care what the ratings say, I don't care what the school district is rated, your kids will get a good education if you get involved. And those were Brown Elementary. Then as schools got built up and we moved, my kids went to Lenz Elementary, which was an older school. And so it was the same thing, just get involved, meet the teachers, meet the people. And I don't know what the exact numbers and the ratings are, but I will tell you this. Most people that have higher end jobs in our area or that have lived in Reno for a long time went to the public schools here, went to the university here, which again, we've talked about it being a tier 1 university. It's probably 3 times the size that it was when I went to school there, but it just keeps growing and growing, has a great reputation. You can look up online and find good and bad about everything, but if you want to talk about the university, I have nothing more to say than good things. My experience there was great. As my kids got older, one of my kids went to Galena High School. One of my others went to private school. They went to Minogue. And if all honesty, if I had to do it all over again and you could say, hey, you're going to get a better education at a private school versus a public school, I probably would have sent my daughter to public school just because it seemed like it was a little less cliquey, a little like there was just pros and cons to both of these things, but you can get a good education both. We had Little League fields right by my house. We had a library right by my house. On weekends, me and my son would go skiing at Mount Rose, where my daughter and my ex-wife would go ride horses. And there's lots of things to do. This is long before there was a hockey arena or all these other buildings that you could do youth sports at. There was always plenty of things to do here to raise a family, grow kids. And if you had multiple people living with you, housing is the one thing. It was more affordable then than I would say that it is now. But we were able to basically build a career, get involved in the community, and do all the things that you would hope to do in an area where you start off as a young person and grow along with where the city grows. If you're looking for more information about Reno or you're thinking about moving to Northern Nevada, please click the link in the description below and we'll send you a copy of our free buyer's guide that will get you the information you need to get started on your journey into Northern Nevada. So where you start to get the negative comments and things that I start to see on our channel, for people that have lived here a long time, they'll complain about how much more traffic there is or how many more people they are or how the small town vibe went away. And you know what? Some of that might be true depending on what people's, thoughts are on the city, and everyone's going to have their opinions. But I will tell you this, I feel like, and you've seen in our videos, that we've done a relatively good job growing the infrastructure, building new schools, the airport one that we did where we've had this massive growth of our airport and trying to make it an area and a region that people want to move to. Now, I realize prices have got more expensive here, but what's so funny is when people keep going over and over and over about, tell the Californians to stay away. Well, what's funny is if you really started digging deep into where and how people got to Northern Nevada, and a lot of people here in Reno, they may be like me that have been here 35 years. I wasn't born in Nevada. I came here from somewhere else too. And as a really young kid, I lived in Southern California. So if you wanted to say, I'm from California, you could say that as well. So it's just funny to me how they want to blame Californians for our town being dirty or our town being crowded or our traffic being bad or our prices being too much. And you can use that as an excuse if you'd like. But I really do think that there are plenty of ways, career-wise, job-wise, opportunity-wise, to get involved, to get a job, to get moving along in the path of being a homeowner. And I realize home ownership right now, the affordability thing, is a huge issue that we're having. That's why you're seeing these apartment complexes being built. And I know not everybody's a fan of that. And you're seeing this growth that's gone out in every direction. Because when I was a rookie young realtor, when you went around that McCarran Loop, Reno did not go very far in every direction. When I was a college student, I remember Northwest Reno just on the west side of McCarran, long before you ever saw Somerset, long before there were any houses even built near McQueen High School, that was a new growing area. And it just continued to go in lots of different directions. And it's not all perfect. There's been lots of positive things and obviously a few things that would be considered negative as well. When a city in a 25-year time frame goes doubling in size, there's going to be some growth issues and there's going to be some concerns with that. So that's why we're going to start talking more about when people are looking for affordable housing, whether it's going east to Fernley, or going south to Carson City, or going, in that fourth quadrant over there in that Dayton and Silver Springs and even Stagecoach area. For people that might want even a little further out, you can go further down through Carson Valley and through Minden and Gardnerville. There's lots of different places and options that you can go. Yes, there is no perfect city. And again, I spent time recently in Portland. I spent time recently in Seattle. Obviously, if you go to the Bay Area, There's a reason why people are bailing out of Northern California, whether it's San Francisco or San Jose. And if you think our prices aren't affordable, imagine if you're someone who grew up and you're a teenager or an early 20s or 30-year-old person living in California. It is way less affordable there. So if you're having problems here and thinking you can't afford to ever buy a home here in Reno, then of course there's always other communities, other parts of the country that you can still find homes that are $150,000, $200,000, $250,000. The question is, do you want to move to those areas and those locations? And if you don't, then you're just going to have to find a way to figure out how to make it work here. And when I was younger and I lived in an apartment, I had 3 roommates to keep our fees really low so I could save more money. I've had situations now where a lot of my young clients got help to buy their first home, but even if they didn't, they were still renting out rooms in the house that they bought to, one, make it more affordable for them so that they know this is not my long-term home. This is a way for me to get started. This is for me, a way to get into a house, an entry-level house. It is not your dream home. Typically, no one's first house is their dream home, so I always hate the dream home concept. It's like, let's get in, let's get the game started, and let's start to work towards finding solutions on how we can, better our situation. So if you're someone out there that is currently renting and you're not happy about it, or you maybe have to have more roommates because it's just become so unaffordable, there's lots of ways you can work on that. I know I've got a couple of people I know in their 20s that literally have someone like me, and they rent a room from their house, and then their rent's only $600 or $700 a month with all utilities included. So there are ways to try to make things affordable to get the process started for you and start building up your ways to better yourself, be able to financially prosper, and have a great place to raise your kids in a community that is continuing to grow and get better and better and better, in my opinion. So if you want to talk about all the negative things, we can do that, but that's going to be a one-on-one level. It's not going to be something where I'm going to start putting out content and videos talking about all the negatives about any city for that matter. And if that's something you're looking for, then this is just not the channel for you. We're going to talk about all the positive, good things Reno, the surrounding cities, and Northern Nevada have to offer, and whether it's, like I said, doing things up at Lake Tahoe, or just the way things have grown in a good manner. That's what this channel is all about. So if you're someone that's not that familiar and you want to come visit Reno, first of all, you can go to visitrenotahoe.com. We've talked about this website before to talk about all the events. I personally think from the time you hit like May 1st to about October, there are nonstop events going, whether it's downtown Sparks, downtown Reno. There are just lots of fun, good things down by the river and up at Lake Tahoe all summer and into the fall long. So you should check out that website. They've got some really good information there. If you're looking to figure out how you might be able to move here, or you're someone who already lives here and you're trying to figure out how can I afford to stay here? Because I really do think the long-term benefits of living here are going to far outweigh the current fact that it is not quite as affordable with higher interest rates and higher prices. I just think looking at other communities, because I have personally bought rentals in other markets more in the Midwest, that one, pricing is a lot more affordable. A lot of times your salary would be a lot less. And for those of you that can work from home or work from anywhere, I know lots of people that have jobs that are in cities like San Francisco or LA or New York or Seattle that have higher salaries, and then they don't have to live in those even way more expensive communities than we are in. So if you're someone who currently lives here and maybe you're in a rental situation, or you're someone who's been watching our videos and you're thinking about moving here from somewhere else, please reach out to us and we'll do everything we can to have a one-on-one meeting with you so we can figure out how to better fix your current situation and help you understand more about Northern Nevada. If you're looking for more information about Northern Nevada and what makes it such a great place to live, check out the video we have coming up next. It talks about all the amazing events that we have here all summer long.